Hey, I thought I'd do a Switch port review for Blade Strangers. I'm sure most people have explained the mechanics at this point. I just got busy with other stuff. I wasn't able to get around to it. But I'll go ahead and I'll show the stuff in the in-game tutorial. Overall, you'd think with how they're marketing this game as having no motion commands that it would be more Joy-Con and Switch friendly than BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, but due to all the button combinations you need to use, you actually either need to use macros or you have to kind of use your thumbs and fingers in kind of odd angles to actually do all the actions in this game. So the game is not as feature heavy as it would seem. The story mode is pretty much just a visual novel. It's just arcade mode with little visual novel segments. An arcade mode just doesn't have those segments. It's pretty much the exact same thing. The missions, people are already coming up with really nice combos. Like the mission combos are the standard, like, crappy ones in fighting games where it's like they kind of teach you the basics, but if you want to use something in an actual match and you want to optimize things, they're functionally useless. The training mode is decent. I'm not really much of a lab master these days, but it's missing like a lot of features. I think it doesn't have like recording slots and stuff. I was not able to find replays, so the online is not as appealing to me as BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, where I can play those matches anywhere with Wi-Fi and have clear, clean replays that I can record later on. So basically the game only has 4 buttons and everything else is a button combination. So that makes things a little bit awkward because you always need to be pushing these 4 buttons in different combinations at all times. There are no like motion commands in this game at all, so it does feel a little weird. I mean, I guess on paper it is simpler than learning motions, but I don't know, most of the modern fighting games, games like this anyway, the niche, like, anime-focused ones, like, they all have pretty simplified commands as it is. Pretty much nothing harder than a quarter circle back and 2 buttons. So it takes some getting used to if you've been playing pretty much any other kind of fighting game. But you do have the 4 triggers, to kind of set for the shortcuts as you see fit, so you can kind of make it work this way. But with the defaults, you're still going to be using the button commands a lot. I did play a couple matches online. The netcode seemed decent, but I only played a couple people. I don't know how well this game sold. I'm sure there's probably more people on the PS4, as standard with pretty much all these Switch PS4 dual-platform or cross-platform games. So I can't really comment on that too much. Here's the manual. Basically, you have a square, basically just an S string you can chain 3 times. You have a skill button and a unique attack button. You have things like the overheads and things like that. There's throws, supers, guard crush. A light and a unique attack button is basically like a Roman cancel dash type thing. So I'll go ahead and I'll play like 2 matches so you guys can see it. So the roster is actually pretty cool. If you played Code of Princess EX, then there's a bunch of characters you recognize here. Pretty significant chunk of the cast is them. You have Quote and Curly from Cave Story, which I played way before, got 1,000 versions made of it. So it's cool to see them. You have Kawase from Umihara Kawase, which is a pretty obscure SNES game, but that's been re-released as well. You've got Shovel Knight. This chick who's a unique character. I think these 2 are unique characters as well. Got Bible Thump here. It's apparently, like, broken. Shovel Knight. And then my favorite, Gunvolt. So the roster is actually pretty varied. I like how they have a lot of various indie games represented here. So Ali's pretty fun. She has a fun moveset. I like the bomb Oki too. going to get rid of Heat Up and put the EX skill here. You can see how this is kind of a problem, even if you have like all the triggers mapped to something, you're always going to have some macro that you can't do. So it feels kind of weird in that regard, how you can't just like do motions. I think like just putting something on like down down or something would have like really reduced all the real estate that the issues that the controller has right now. If you're playing on stick, the game is completely fine, but if you're playing on Joy-Cons, then you're going to have to come up with some kind of button, face button, and trigger combination that works for you. But you're still going to be doing some kind of button command either way. Now the offensive skill, you could probably map that to something else if you want. But like I said, there's no like definitive solution. The mechanics are pretty fun. I mean, the matches are pretty short, which is nice. I mean, a lot of fighting games now are kind of gravitating towards longer matches, like Dragon Ball FighterZ, so if you're looking for something a little more grounded and a lot shorter, then this is actually a pretty good fit. I just feel that the control scheme doesn't really work with the marketing that they have for this game right now. It's supposed to be like simple commands, but you're still going to be fighting with triggers all the time. Like if you're using the trigger shortcuts, you're going to be using more buttons than a 6-button game. Which is kind of weird to me. Alright, I have to get used to the button commands. Like I said, I'll go ahead and I'll show the command list really quick so you guys can see just how jumbled things get, since they're so bent on just not having any motions in the game at all, aside from stuff like overheads. Kind of weird design, but I think the game looks really fun when you play it at a high level. So you have motion commands for just like the heavy attacks and the unique attacks, but all the specials are done like this. And you can see how complicated this looks compared to just like a quarter circle forward or something. So, I like the game. I just feel like it feels like they made too many compromises to try to get, you know, casual fighting game players to play it, but it actually feels more confusing as a traditional fighting game player who's been around for a long time than it should. But the game is quite fun. For $40, I mean, I wouldn't really get it unless you're going to be playing online or you have like an offline scene. If you have like a local fighting game meetup or something and people play anime games and stuff, then it's probably worth the money. But in terms of single-player content, there's not really a whole lot at all. So pretty much just going to be labbing and playing locals or online. I can't comment on the online population. I can go ahead and show you how limited it is. It's pretty bare bones. There's no replays or anything. So you have casual match, standard, then ranked, and then stealth match, whatever that is. That's pretty much all there is. You pretty much just sit in a room and wait. You can put training mode or fight request on in training and arcade mode, which is nice. But like I said, there's not really any other functionality like replays or stuff like that. So it's not as feature heavy as like an Arc Sys Works game is. Like BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, I think is arguably the best fighting game on the Switch. I'm not saying that from the gameplay itself. It's more like a combination of the way that the game is designed. It works well with Joy-Cons. And it has all the nice features. The netcode is pretty good as well. Here, it's a pretty bare bones game. I mean, you have story mode, which, like I said, is a visual novel arcade mode, basically. You have tutorial, which is self-explanatory. You have some very basic B&Bs, which I don't really know the game well enough, but people are coming up with far more advanced stuff than that. So I really don't know how much use that will have. Even now, the game's only been out for like a week. Arcade versus training and online. That's pretty much it. Anyway, hope that helps you guys make an educated purchasing decision. I'll probably put up some matches or something later on. Peace.